From VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
All right, welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew. We are heading into Christmas break and New Year's. 2022 is coming up. I just can't believe we're at the end of 2021. It just seems like we just kicked off the new year, and here we are at the end of the year. And we've got lots of great things going on at the end of the year. And one of those great things that is going on is Susan Shuler, our dear friend and member of the crew and part of the Miss Texas organization. She is live with us from Connecticut. This is the 100th anniversary of the Miss America competition. It is live in Connecticut this week. She's going to talk with us about Mallory and how well she's doing, and then tell us how we can watch Mallory and cheer her on Thursday, which is the actual competition. And I'm already like getting all nervous about it and everything. Susan, how are you this morning?
Oh, it's great. And I am live from Uncastville, Connecticut.
There you
30
go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah,
I hope y'all are enjoying your 70-degree weather.
We were laughing because she's like, maybe we've got a better connection today because it's 30 degrees. And I'm like, okay, it's already 70. Like when I walked in the building this morning, I saw on the little thing near the elevator, it said 70 degrees. Heard on the radio, it's going to get up to almost 80 today. And I'm like, okay, we'll send some warm weather to you. You send some cold weather to us. How about that, Susan?
Okay. Yes. It's a little chillier today. Yesterday, the high here, I think, was like 65, which was great weather here. And they were all talking about how warm it was. And I was like, no, that's not real warm.
Texas has you beat, honey.
Yep.
Let's speaking of Texas, Miss Texas, Mallory is... she's just doing such a great job representing us. So talk to us about what y'all have been doing and what's coming up for the rest of the week.
Okay, so she, had her first preliminary night on Sunday and had her talent and did really, really well. But on Monday night, she had her chance to shine with her social impact, which I know, Kathy, you've been, saying all along, how great that topic was and how timely, and she proved that it was because she won the preliminary event and was awarded a $1,000 scholarship because of her social impact.
Wow!
And her social impact, for those that don't know, is Mallory's mission: suicide prevention.
Yes. Yep.
And she talks about a guy that she went to school with that committed suicide, and no one ever saw the signs of what was happening. And in fact, I read that one of the teachers told Johnny's parents what Mallory did on the stage, and they was kind of tearing me up, but they both cried because they were so excited that he was mentioned.
That chokes me up. That chokes me up as well, Susan. And we've had Mallory, Miss Texas, has been on our show a number of times. She's also been on This Pink Cloud, which is a recovery show, again, because all of this is tied in, addiction, drug abuse, depression, all of these different things that feed into us losing too many people to suicide. And, and then Mallory has her 2 books that she's written, because unfortunately, and we've talked about this with her on the show, not only do you obviously you've got the teenagers that you have to worry about and preteens and adults, it's the worst it's ever been. But you hear of 7, 8, 9-year-old kids coming into hospitals here with suicide attempts. And so I'm going to stand by. I was so proud out of anything she could win the preliminary competition in. That is so important because I just truly believe her mission, her passion, her social impact is is needed
is her.
now more than ever. Just unfortunately, but
Right.
it is needed now more than ever. So we're so proud of her, and please let her know how proud the crew
I
is
will.
of her, and congratulations on winning the social impact preliminary competition.
And you could tell she was speaking from her heart, and I know the judges saw that as well, because when she finished, they have 60 seconds to give their social impact.
Wow.
And we were watching the timer go down, and I was like, "Oh, hurry up, get to the end." And as it hit the 0, she said her last statement was, "And I, as Miss America, I will try to save, well, not try, but promote my platform to save lives across America."
Oh.
And at the 0, it was America, and it was like, okay, she did it.
Oh my goodness,
it.
that's I've got chills. I'm just again, I'm so happy to hear that. Again, Mallory's a beautiful girl. She's a talented girl. She's an amazing young woman, beautiful inside and out. But you're right. You know, a lot of times you can give lip service to whatever your cause is. This is near and dear to her heart. Well, and I'm glad the young man who she's honoring, I'm glad his family is aware of this.
Right. And she, you know, most of the girls, you know, it's natural to memorize your speech, and just, you know, sometimes it can be too memorized and it comes off very canned. You could tell that hers was definitely speaking from the heart. Yeah. And there was nothing canned about it, and nothing insincere about it at all. It was very sincere and very her. And so I was so glad that the judges recognized that.
I'm just
Illinois
so proud.
Won the talent.
Okay.
Yes, Illinois won talent. And it's kind of funny because she played the violin.
Oh, well, there you go. Another. Did she play the violin? Did she play the violin?
She played
fiddle
the violin.
style or violin?
Oh no, she played the Russian symphony concerto or something.
Gotcha.
So it was very violin.
Because Mallory does the fiddle style. So.
So it was kind of funny that, you know, 2 violinists were up on the stage at the same time.
Oh, what are the odds? Well, how do we watch it? And now remember, we mentioned to the crew, Susan is going to come on Friday morning and give us a wrap up, because Thursday night is the actual competition. How can we watch? And then also, is there anything like, can we vote on favorite? Can we still do donations? What can we do right now? And how do we find Mallory on Thursday night?
If you'll go and check, I don't know if they still are doing the People's Choice. You may have until today to vote, you know, for the People's Choice. So you can go to the Miss America website, missamerica.org, and see if they are still allowing People's Choice votes. But if you want to watch, you can go. It's going to be live streamed on Peacock. So I think there's also a link on the Miss America website as well. And, you know, the more the merrier. Watching would be great. We have a huge, probably one of the largest contingencies from Texas that we've ever had. And there's probably about 20 of them even coming in tomorrow just for the final. So,
I love it.
So we probably have about, I would say 50 or 60 people here.
Oh, I just love it. I love it. I love it.
And you can certainly, when she comes out on the stage, you can certainly hear us.
We're not a quiet Miss Texas crew now, are we?
No, and we have visuals. We have the Texas flag flying, and so
yay! I love it.
We're a loud visual group.
Loud and proud. Well, Susan, I love it. Thank you so much. And then we'll see you, or we'll talk to you on Friday. And then I
hope I have a great report.
I hope you have a fantastic report. I think you will. At this point, Mallory, we're already so proud of her, and anything that she does now is just literally icing on the cake. And so we are just extremely proud of her. We love her. We're praying for her, praying for all y'all's safety, praying for all the girls' safety, and their health and everything. So We love you. I'm there with you in spirit, my friend.
Thank
and thanks for texting me and sending me pictures so I feel like I'm part of it.
All right. Thanks
All right.
so
Thanks.
much.
Love you, Susan. Okay.
Y'all
Bye-bye.
y'all stay cool and we'll stay warm.
Yeah,
All right.
sure. There you go. I love
All
it.
right. Bye-bye.
Susan's even got her own segue out. I love that. Well, anyways, we're just so excited about Mallory Fuller. Just if the crew will pray for her and just in her well-being, I think she's gonna do great Thursday night. She's already a winner. So, anyways, thanks so much, Susan. Have a great day.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Have a
bye-bye.
great day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. All right, now we go from one hot topic to another. We've got Dr. Rebecca Good of the Ask Dr. Be Good show. She is on the line with us. And so, Dr. Good, all of a sudden, there's always some kind of educational topic of one sort or another going on. And all of a sudden, and my mom, still lives in Richardson where I grew up. I went to schools in Richardson ISD. And all of a sudden, my mom's like, what's this resignation thing? And then I've got friends from other parts of, Texas, and then friends who were educators or are educators, principals and whatnot in other parts of the country. We've got a bit of an exit stage left of superintendents. Is there a trend? Is there a reason? What's going on?
Well, just to give a little bit of background, yes, the Richardson resignation caught everybody a little bit off guard because I think the internal infighting was kept on the down low. I mean, obviously you just don't quit suddenly, right? Without a reason. And what I'm reading from other people, I don't know if you know Jim Schultz. He's an old-time newspaper reporter in Dallas, and he is saying that it's the same cause that you're seeing everywhere else. Matter of fact, Mesquite ISD superintendent is resigning as of the end of the year. I don't know if you saw the newspaper article on Tuesday that very angry parents at the Fort Worth school board calling for the resignation of the school board and the superintendent because they found out about the fact that the district was going to give teachers a training on diversity. And so it's this CRT thing. We call it CRT, but it's really the wrong name, right? You and I know that.
Right.
I really wish they would call it something else. But it's all about really mostly white boards who are reluctant to let their mostly minority students, by the way, get a different kind of truth from their history. And so this is it. And just as I did my research, the Richardson board is run by the president is an African American lady, and then there's a Hispanic lady on it, but the rest are all white. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing this clash of frankly white people who are uncomfortable with the fact that kids in their district might hear about white supremacy during the past 200 years.
Well, and it's what I see in this whole thing. There's a number of things, and then again, then I want to know your thoughts on how this translates. Up to the top of the food chain with some of these resignations, and I say resignations, and I use air quotes. You've got, to those of us, a parent like myself, a teacher like I used to be. Not that I taught history, but my thing is, you teach history, you don't try to spin it, and I think unfortunately in the culture today, and especially with having a different generation, a younger generation of teachers in the classroom, and then a different generation of people being elected to school board. You should not you can, but you shouldn't. You should not put a spin on history. History is history. Here was what happened with slavery. Here's what happened with the abolishment of slavery. Here's the president who took care of that. All of these different things, and what I think you see is a lot of people with social agendas, and not past the CRT, some of the other woke stuff. I'm about to talk with Congressman Van Taylor about fat shaming in Santa. This woke culture, it's just kind of gone, just run amok. And I think you're seeing parents coming in saying, whoa, wait a second. And I'm going to go back to something you talked about this, and you and I have talked about this, and we've talked about this with JP. I think the pandemic, I think it really opened parents' eyes, because all of a sudden you're like, wait, let me see that school book. Wait, what are you writing a report on? All of a sudden parents who were kind of just obliviously, going about their life thinking, little Susie and little Johnny and, it's all good in school, or like, first of all, wait a second, maybe my child's not the perfect child I thought they were. But then also, Dr. Good, I think parents are more aware of what's going on out there, and so they're letting their voices be heard.
Well, unfortunately, the pandemic has caused those voices to be a little louder and a little bit in a more threatening manner sometimes, because that is what's caused the federal government to come by and say, hey, we're going to train boards and superintendents on how to de-escalate, because parents have come and voiced their opinion many times in a rather threatening manner. And so that the pandemic has caused some good, and it's caused some bad. It's caused people to be closed up and not be social for long enough that they've sort of lost those skills too. So we have a lot going on.
We really do. Boy, howdy. We really do.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about this, how we used to have, and oh, goodness gracious, you were on our radio show a number of times when JP and I were doing the series on preteens and teenagers and online bullying and the appropriate, how you should be appropriate on social media. And if you wouldn't say this to somebody's face, why would you say it over social media? And now, I'm just pointing to myself thinking it's people 40 and over that are having the trouble controlling themselves on social media. Dr. Good, you've seen it.
Social media, airplanes, schools, school board meetings, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for parents? Okay.
Yes.
Now, in many of the urban districts, the only access parents can have to a superintendent is maybe looking at them at a school board meeting.
Okay.
It is very hard, especially in the bigger districts, to get an appointment with a superintendent. There are many, many layers between a parent and a superintendent in Dallas ISD, Plano ISD, Richardson, and so on. But what you can do at a local level, and a local like your school level, is keep a check on what's happening in your kid's school. How are the principals doing? Because they're principal resignations too. This is not just teachers. It's not just superintendents. You have principals who are leaving the business too. So they are tired of sort of being yelled at and trying to fill positions because of burned out teachers who are absent. There's a lot going on at their level, right? And so, be that group of parents. I'm not saying you can help a school by yourself, but get with a group of parents from your school and meet with a principal and see what you guys can do to help support staff, right? Help support the principal, help support teachers. And it might be, and this is wild and crazy, but it could be a good thing. What if some parents volunteered to go and become subs and help out with the sub situation? Oh, that might be eye-opening.
Well, and that's
right?
And I tell you what, you touched on that, and it's interesting. A lot of times you'll mention something because you're so on top of these hot topics when it comes to education. But you had mentioned such an extreme shortage in substitutes. If I have not seen 10, I've seen 100 news stories speaking exactly to that. So substituting is a great thing. And you and I have talked about this before. I was, when my kids, I'm still, the school-based improvement council and still do judging for my son's school, and he's a senior. So he's like, tell me when you're on campus so I can hide. But ever since the kids were very young, I chose my weekends anytime I was able to do a lunch hour or, take a morning off or whatever. I volunteered at my kids' school because I felt like I was part of the team that way. Even when I was just in, bleaching and cleaning down lunch tables as a lunchroom mom, you still feel like you're part of your kid's education team. Does that make sense?
It does. Trust but verify, right? You
Yes,
just don't want to drop your kid off at the door and hope, cross your fingers, hope that he's going to have a good day.
Right.
That's not that's not good parenting. Good parenting is getting involved in the school so that you can get a temperature of the climate and culture of the school, right? If you get a sense that you see if your child's teacher speaks poorly of the principal or what's going on, that's a huge red flag, unfortunately, of the teacher and the school. Anytime a teacher speaks poorly about something going on at the school, that is a huge red flag about either that teacher, because it could be just that teacher. You do have those isolated cases where you got the negative Nellies that really work on bringing down the morale of the school. They don't mean to. They don't realize they're doing it. It's just their personality.
I think they had a Saturday night live character for that, Debbie Downer.
Yeah,
wah. Some people
my
that's just their gig.
My daughter recently became a paraprofessional at a school in Kentucky. And matter of fact, talk about lucky. Her area, it was tornado, skip her area, tornado. She sent a map. Anyway, don't get me started about that. But she is at a school where there is one teacher. So she loves the school. When Austin passed, a group of staff members gave her money. They did a prayer after hours after school before they went on the road to drive here from Kentucky for the funeral. All of that's a beautiful school, beautiful campus. But the principal is leaving mid-year. She's burned out.
Yeah.
And now a new person's coming in. And, so folks, be kind.
Yes.
Check on your school, check on your kids' teachers, check on your kids' principal. It's very important that we be alert and recognize that not only there is a problem, but we could be part of the solution to the problem.
Right. Well, and we appreciate you bringing these just good advice, kind of just some common sense stuff. Just be involved, be part of it, and watch what's going on, or if you've got a job that's more demanding and you don't have that flexibility, then, I had moms and dads who we would all kind of tag team. It was like, hey, I can't volunteer for this thing Saturday morning, but, I'll volunteer for this for you. Let me know what goes on and take pictures for me and stuff. So again, there's always a way. If you want to be involved, you can find a way to be involved. What will you be discussing on your show this Sunday?
We'll chat a little bit about this, but then we'll also talk. There's an interesting article that talked about how school reform was needed even before the pandemic. And so we're going to revisit what was school like 30 years ago. Because when I went into schooling 35 years ago, I remember people telling me, well, it takes 30 years for advances to hit the school districts and to actually be implemented. Well, I don't think we can say that anymore, but we need to acknowledge what's been going on for the last 50 years in education and then look at what's happened during the pandemic and decide how we're going to move forward more successfully.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're to a point in the world with the technology, with everything we have at our fingertips. There's no reason why it takes 3 decades to impact change. So if change needs to be made and it's going to be positive for the kids, which at the end of the day is positive for the country, let's take care of business. So.
Yeah, my granddaughter is home this week. This is last week before break. She's home because she was they called her a direct contact. So she was in direct contact with somebody with COVID.
Gotcha.
They can't tell you who. They can't tell you what.
Right.
They can't tell you if it's a kid that is sitting next to you. But she was sent home for the week. So now she has online school that she can at least not be counted absent and keep up.
Yep. So again, got to stay on top of it, got to be creative, and, how do you best educate the kids? And I think we've got a bajillion different ways to do it. Let's just take care of business. Get the adults out of it. Just kidding. No. Or am I?
I don't know if you remember that I made that joke. I was interviewed by somebody at Fox News, and they said, well, how do you think we can, why do you think this is happening in public education? And I said, well, because you have a bunch of adults running the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
that's the reason I said it. That's why I said it, because you're always like, let's get the adults out of the equation. Maybe that's the issue. Oh, we haven't tried letting the kids run having the kids run the schools. Let's try that.
Getting more kid voice, especially in the secondary, is always a good idea.
I tell you, some bright minds, Well, thanks, Dr. Good. We will see you on Sunday on the Ask Dr. Be Good show. Great info as always. Ann Guzman said she loves your show. She never misses it. So that was a comment this morning. So have fun and go back to posting pictures of the lake. I like it. You don't have anything negative on your social media. It's all pictures of the dog or the lake. So keep up the positive posting.
Always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Ask Dr. Good, Dr. Rebecca Good of the of JP Kathy and the crew and of the Ask Dr. Be Good show. Just good information. I think we're getting ready to have Congressman Van Taylor hop on with us. Do we have him on? Excellent, Congressman. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning. And we can see you now. Excellent. How are you, sir?
Good morning, and yes, good morning.
I love it. Well, this will be your, you'll get to wish the crew Merry Christmas and Happy New Year because we're taking a couple of breaks from the show, or a couple of weeks off from the show. So you'll be able to wish everybody a Merry Christmas while you're on today and a Happy New Year. I know we want to talk about, I think y'all had a vote very, very late last night on the debt ceiling. So I definitely, obviously want to talk about that. But, you know, you and I have talked about this woke culture, and JP and I have talked about the woke culture and cancel culture and all of the issues and all the negative coming out of that. So since we are getting ready to take off for the Christmas holidays, have you heard about now it's like the woke Santa thing, and people are calling for kids and adults to stop fat shaming Santa, and like this is a big movement. I'm sitting here thinking people are living on the streets. People don't know where their next paycheck is coming from. Gas is at an all-time high. Groceries are at an all-time high. We see no rest, you know, in this shooting up of inflation and you know, the insanity that's going on. We've got people in California where you've got a governor who's saying that you have to wear your mask starting now through January 15th, even when you're in your house. And so we've got a movement and we think it's fat shaming Santa, woke Santa. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, this is just another ridiculous complaint from the left,
Yes.
who, you know, at their core, you know, hates this country. I mean, just, you know, we live in the greatest nation on earth.
We do.
And we should be grateful for what we have. And we certainly have challenges. I mean, every nation has had to confront COVID. Every nation.
Yes.
But, you know, the United States leads the way in, you know, confronting fascism or communism. But you've got these far left people that say, hey, we don't want you to have a plastic straw. And we laugh about it and we joke about it, but then you can't get a plastic straw in California.
Right. Yeah, and you get
know.
the paper straws, and they encourage you to buy. And again, if that's your gig, and you know, and okay, I recycle. I'm sure you do. I mean, there's, you know, I don't throw trash on the ground, but I don't want a paper straw in my iced tea that's going to fall apart. Speaking of California, because I'm losing my mind over this. I'm sure you've heard about the mask mandate where they're through the 15th. Even in your house, when you have people over, you need to wear your mask. Even if you're vaccinated, even if you've had COVID, even if you tested negative for COVID, you still are supposed to wear your mask. First of all, who's going to come in and police their home? And I tell you what, if I were in California, which I wouldn't be, but my goodness. And I remember one of the last business trips I took to California, I went in and they said, and it was like 10 or 15 cents for a bag. I was like at a Walgreens or a CVS, and I'm like, wait, what? And then he said, you're not from here, are you? And I'm like, did my accent give it away? And he said, you might want to keep your bag in case you're going to come back sometime this week because we have to charge you per bag. And I'm just like, you know, this has been several years back. I just shake my head at the insanity that is going on when you know, and you know better than us, we've got real life problems to deal with in D.C. And instead, everybody's talking about fat shaming Santa.
It doesn't stop them from doing crazy stuff like fat shaming Santa or trying to get rid of plastic straws.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Well, okay, enough of that. I was like, okay, I might be the only person who asks you today in an interview about fat shaming woke Santa. So there you go. But we do want to talk about the vote last night. Did it happen? I know it was. I think y'all were working late into the night.
Yeah.
Did the vote happen?
Look,
what happened?
Look, the Democrats are ashamed of what they're doing, which is why they, do it, late on a Tuesday, do it Tuesday night at midnight, week before Christmas, is because they don't want to actually have to, parade it around. And actually, the Democrats had a very short debate. They wouldn't actually debate us. The Republicans would go up and say X or Y, or hey, look, this is irresponsible. Hey, you guys knew this day has been coming for 2.5 years. The Biden administration has grown the federal debt, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. You guys have not only have the Democrat Congress not passed a budget, which they're required to do by law. I, Van Taylor, member of Congress, who's been there for 3 years, I've never voted on a budget because we have an incompetent, Nancy Pelosi is incompetent and won't get our fiscal house in order. And so their answer is more deficit spending, which leads to more inflation. And then in turn, that causes, and that's is a tax on every single American.
Right.
And, just so we, can scale last night, because we say $2.5 trillion. Well, what does that mean? That means that last night Democrats voted to borrow $7,500 for every man, woman, and child in this country. And that borrowing is going to have to be paid back. I mean, it's not
it's not free money. Yeah, it's not free money. I mean, and so let me get this right. You're saying you and your conservative colleagues were trying to debate and have, an intelligent conversation or debate or exchange of ideas, and they wouldn't debate y'all?
Yeah, so there was an hour reserved for each side for debate, which is an incredibly short thing for this kind of decision.
I was going to say, when you're talking all this money,
$1 trillion decision.
That's insane
it's
right there.
Deal.
Yeah, that's insane right there.
That's a huge deal. Like just period in, full stop. $2.5 trillion, $7,500 per man, woman, and child in this country is a huge deal. It's a big thing. That deserves a real discussion. And look, I'm a fiscal hawk. I mean, my first bill I signed in Congress was the balanced budget amendment because I think the government is too big and spends too much. I've been when I was in the state legislature, I was a taxpayer champion. Every session I served in the state legislature. I've been fiscal hero with National Taxpayer Union. In here in Washington. So I've been calling for this. I didn't find religion last night. I mean, I've been talking about this, as long as I've been in elected life, talking about the importance, fiscal responsibility of living within your means, about not borrowing, and then last night was a blowout, $7,500 per man, woman, and child, that will be borrowed. And just to give you like how bad it is, the prediction is that this will last us a little over a year. So that's how much deficit spending the Democrats are ramming down our throats, on a partisan basis. I mean, the Republicans are like, no, stop, don't spend so much money. And Democrats are full steam ahead, and they're doing it.
And again, so the limited time for debate, the fact that nobody wants to talk about it, the fact that this is a vote going down at midnight. You're right. When you've got something, it's such a crucial topic as this, anything, and you know what? All the topics that have to do with spending in America are crucial. Anything that is something that should be able to, if I want to turn that on, whatever, a streaming service or on, cable TV and watch that, because that's my money, that's my kids' money, that's my grandkids, my great grandkids. The fact that it's being done so late at night and it's so hush hush, then they know that their constituents are not in support of what they're doing. That, to me, if you're hiding something like that, And you've been burning the midnight oil, ever since you were a state representative, and well, ever since you were a Marine. You understand late nights. You're not afraid of that. But again,
No.
shouldn't we the people have access to that? And if it's at midnight, most we the people are sleeping.
Sure. No, and really, the other vote we took last night, which was the Mark Meadows vote, the Democrats literally lined that up intentionally to disguise the debt ceiling vote. So what happened there was they subpoenaed Mark Meadows, so the January 6th Commission, which I voted against the formation of it.
Yep.
I've now, last night, I voted against that commission 5 different times, which is every time I could vote against it.
Absolutely.
And it's basically a partisan witch hunt, which is why I voted against it. I've done everything I can think of to try to stop that. And what the Democrats did with this is they were negotiating with Mark Meadows, and he said, "Look, I will come and testify. I will come and be deposed." And he laid out all the things he would do, and the Democrats actually agreed to it. They said, "Okay, that sounds good, Mark. Come on in." And the night before, they said, "Actually, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to ask about these other things that they had already agreed that they wouldn't do." And Meadows said, "Well, I'm not going to show up. I mean, if you're not going to honor your end of the agreement, I'm not going to honor mine and show up." And so they said, "We're sending you to jail." But the real intent of that, sadly, was not that Mark Meadows wasn't cooperating, because he was.
Right.
It wasn't that he wasn't handing over documents, because he did. He handed over thousands of pages of documents, of text, all this kind of stuff. So he was in good faith trying to cut a deal. The Democrats, in my mind, in very bad faith, reneged on the deal that they had cut, and then they did this contempt claim in an effort to distract us, the American people, from seeing the debt ceiling rise, because they wanted the lead story in the papers to be Mark Meadows, not we just borrowed $7,500 per man, woman, and child in this country.
Right. Well, it's all, and you see this, and we've talked about this. It's like they think that we the people that we're unintelligent, that we're stupid, that we will just buy whatever they put out there. Well. And we talked about this, right off the bat, when the horrific, unnecessary death that went on in Afghanistan. Well, so what are they doing? They're talking about, we need to do this different mask mandate, or we need to do this, or vaccines this and vaccines that. And I'm like, what about the babies that we're burying, that were our soldiers? I mean, the average age was like 23 or something of the folks who passed, and they passed unnecessarily. So it's always smoke and mirror. It's like they're trying to distract us from the real atrocities going on.
No, when you talk about Afghanistan, which was the greatest foreign policy disaster in the history of our country. I mean, we literally handed an entire country and $85 billion of military hardware to terrorists. That's literally what Joe Biden did, and in the most incompetent way imaginable. And so he lied. I mean, he told America, we will not leave until every American is home. And he left. And he left hundreds of Americans behind.
Right.
And as far as I can tell, the State Department is doing virtually nothing to get anybody out. I mean, we have hundreds of people who have ties to the 3rd District of Texas that we're trying to get out of Afghanistan. And so far, in the over 3 months since we've left Afghanistan, we've gotten one of those people out. And that was, and they got out on their own volition. It wasn't like the State Department, helped them. They managed to sneak out on their own. So it just shows you how confident that was. But what happened was, 9 days after we pulled out of Afghanistan, the Biden administration tries to change the subject because they don't want to talk about Afghanistan. Yep. They don't want to talk about that incredible foreign policy failure. They don't want to talk about how our allies, our NATO allies, who had stood shoulder to shoulder with us for 20 years on the battlefield in Afghanistan, who had fought with us, who had written the checks, who had buried their sons and daughters, fighting side by side with us. It's the only time in the history of NATO that NATO, any nation, has invoked Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all.
Yes.
And for 20 years, our allies fought with us in Afghanistan, and Joe Biden shocked them all by not even bothering to call them and tell them, hey, we're about to pull out. And a lot of them were upset. one of my congressional colleagues was saying that, in Holland, the Dutch left behind some interpreters, and as a result, they had 2 cabinet level secretaries resign because they had failed. Here, there's no accountability. No one's getting fired. No one's resigning.
Oh, it's a big free for all.
And the administration has the gall to tell us this was a great success. This was a tremendous withdrawal.
No,
it was a disaster. They know it was a disaster. In an effort to distract us from it, they then implement the vaccine mandates, which are yielding terrible results for our country.
Which is horrific. Again, it's all this. Well, here's what's really going on. But look over here. And since we're speaking about veterans, and I don't know if you've even heard about this, Ann Guzman. First of all, Michelle Butler says hello. She saw you out in Hunt County the other day and said it was great to visit with you. And then Ann Guzman asked, since you're a veteran, and I know you're a big supporter of Rees Across America. JP, Kathy, and the crew, we've been working with Chuck Wright on Rees Across America, and have been part of that. I've done the actual laying of the wreaths on the graves before. An amazing organization. I didn't know this until Ann brought this up this morning. There's a secularist nonprofit organization that strongly urges separation of church and state in America is now taking an issue with Wreaths Across America, a nearly 30-year tradition of placing wreaths on thousands of military graves. The group is called the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, or MRFF. They are calling out Wreaths Across America. They told the Colorado Springs Gazette, this is unreal, that the organization's action in placing wreaths on military grave sites around the country are unconstitutional, an atrocity, and a disgrace. What do you have to say about that as a veteran who has buried fellow soldiers?
I mean, leave it to the left to take an act of loyalty and generosity and effort to venerate and give respect to the young men and women who gave their last full measure of devotion, so this nation shall not perish from the earth. To use the words of Abraham Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address. To then turn around and to demean that, and to insult the people who are attempting to honor our men and women. That's just a shocking attack on such a core important understanding in our nation. I'll make this comment, Kathy. When you think about the U.S. Capitol, and we're talking about trillions and billions, and what are we going to spend the money on, and how do we spend it? And you sometimes lose sight of what made America in the first place. But when you go outside the U.S. Capitol and you go down Independence Avenue, and you go past the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, and you cross across Memorial Bridge, you're in Arlington.
Yeah.
And when you drive in Arlington, as far as the eye can see, there are headstones. And you realize the price of this nation is not just in dollars, more so it is in those young men and women who are willing to give that last full measure of devotion, so this nation shall not perish from the earth. I mean, it is incredibly costly on a human level to have created this country and to fight for it and defend it. Reads Across America is an effort to honor those who gave that last full measure of devotion. And I'm really stunned that anybody could say the kind of things that group is saying. It's just shocking.
It really is. Every time, and we've talked about this with you, JP, and I've talked about this with you before, but every time you think it can't get any worse and something more, horrific can't happen, here it does, So we appreciate you. First of all, we appreciate you as a veteran serving our country. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for continuing to serve our country. We've got a few minutes left. And so instead of the insanity that's going on, and let me tell you, the social media is blown up with why are these votes being taken, in the middle of the night, not during a normal work day. And again, they're like, what are the Democrats hiding? So thank you for bringing light to that.
They don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, it's a very, what they did to Mark Meadows was intentional in an effort to distract the American people from the trillions of dollars of profligate spending and borrowing that the Democrats are executing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an effort. This is a concerted effort to hide from the public view the fiscal irresponsibility. And it's irresponsible. I mean, the Democrats haven't passed a budget. They're required by law.
No.
By law.
So how do you not?
The House of Representatives is supposed by law. The House of Representatives is supposed to pass a budget by April 15th of every year.
Yeah.
Not only has the House of Representatives not passed a budget since Nancy Pelosi became Speaker 3 years ago, they haven't passed it. They haven't even voted on a budget.
And
a budget has never come to the floor in 3 years. And that is fiscal irresponsibility if there ever was one. We don't even have a budget as a nation.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's embarrassing. The greatest nation on earth, run by a woman who just cannot get it together. And so rather than fessing up and saying, you know what? I can't figure out how to do this. This isn't happening. We need to get our act together. Let's sit down and figure out how are we going to pass a budget. She figures out, you know what? I'm going to indict somebody who shouldn't be indicted so I could not have to talk about the fact that I'm borrowing trillions of dollars.
Exactly right.
And putting our country further in the hole, further in debt, making our lives harder because it's creating inflation. I mean, when you fill up your gas tank today and the prices are higher, you can thank Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden because they did that. That's their plan. That's what they wanted.
And when there are folks who aren't able to travel over the Christmas holidays because gas is just too high, they did that. So then that's very important. Get out in 2022 and vote and push the candidates that are for transparency and for we the people like yourself. So let's talk about something fun before we let you go for the Christmas holidays. Do you and your family have any kind of traditions that y'all do every year? A favorite Christmas book that y'all read, or a Christmas song, or a Christmas movie, or anything?
Well, we actually gather around to decorate the tree, so that is a family tradition. We like to go to the Christmas Eve church service and celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ together as a family. And we're continuously trying to cut down on presents. So I'm doing that by not buying many things.
There you go. Okay, so wait, is there some woke Santa statement there, Congressman?
I'm saying less is more.
There you go. You're a fiscal conservative, so you're saying less is more with the presents. Well, thank you so much,
Quality,
Congressman.
not quantity.
Yes,
Quality,
you go.
Not quantity.
There you go. Well, thank you. We really appreciate you. Keep up the good work, and thank you for keeping us informed. And we'll see you in 2022. We wish you and your family a blessed Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year.
Sure. Well, and I'll say it: Merry Christmas, and yes, Merry Christmas.
I love it. Thanks so much, Congressman. We'll see you soon. All right. See you soon. Congressman Van Taylor from Congressional District 3. It just, you sit here and you shake your head, and every time we talk to the congressman about any of the things going on in D.C., kind of the whole culture, this woke cancel culture, that I really, truly, at the end of the day, have to think the majority of that is just a very loud minority, because most people you talk to are like, this is just insane. I have gotten so many messages and so many comments about like Rees Across America and things like that. And Ann made a good point. She said the problem is with this group's argument, the government doesn't put out those Rees. I mean, that's a fundraiser. Any of y'all who have been a member of the crew, we've been working with Chuck Wright of Kilroy's Conversation for years now, raising money. Individuals, many members of the crew have donated countless Rees over the years to Rees Across America. We go out there. The government's not making us go out there and put the Rees on these graves. So this has nothing to, this is not a function of the government. This is a private organization that does this to honor, to remember, and to honor and to teach. So anyways, it just keeps getting crazier. Okay, well, so everybody pray for Mallory, who is our Miss Texas, and she is going to be competing Thursday night. You can catch her live on streaming service Peacock. You can also go to Pageants Live, and I think it's like I can't remember how much it is, but you can actually purchase that the night of the competition, so you can watch that from your laptop or stream it on your TV. Anyway, so we're wishing her all the best, and we thank Susan Shuler for giving us an update, and we really are, Miss Texas, we are so proud of you for winning your preliminary competition with your social impact statement. Suicide prevention and suicide awareness and helping. And again, she's helping all the way to the little bitties because she's got those two children's books out. There are people hurting, and during this pandemic, mental health is at an all-time high. We've got a crisis going on. Suicide's at an all-time high. So just good for you, and bravo for bringing light to something that really needs to be discussed in our country. So we do appreciate that, and we wish you all the best, and can't wait to watch you Thursday night. Thank you to Dr. Rebecca Good. You'll see her on Sunday. Of course, we'll be back here Friday, and then this pink cloud, and then we take some time off. We'll run some best ofs, I guess. I think that was the plan. If JP or Charles is watching, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, so y'all have a blessed and wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Mwah.